Welcome to Connecting to the Plug, building relationships in the art world as a fine art photographer with me, Toki Taylor. That's me. Hi, I'm Toki Taylor, and I am a photographer as well as an artist whose medium of choice is photography. If you're here, it's because you have similar interests as me and you want to get your artwork in front of the correct people and make connections in the art world. Basically, how to get plugged in. So, as far as how I got plugged in, it really started with my artwork. I really am focused on Black bodies and what that looks like and how to change the narrative of what Black bodies are portrayed as. I feel like it's a psychological internal dialogue that we have to shift when people see Black bodies in film, portrayed in books, portrayed in images. There are some stereotypes and indoctrination that people have gone through because they've seen these images of Black bodies where they have been treated as lesser than, where they have been treated as sexual objects, period, as chattel. And so I really want to change that internal dialogue that people have when they see us, our Black bodies, our faces, our children. And I want to shift that. And I'm really focused on that in my work. And so the goal is to expand acceptance, perspective, and expectation of what a Black body looks like. Let me make this a little bit smaller. So about my work, I really focus a lot on themes of time and memory. I feel like a lot of our people have had their memories erased because their history was erased and it wasn't talked about. I'm connected to spirituality. I'm not a religious person per se, but I really believe in the spirit. I really believe in our ancestors guiding us and making us aware of where we should be, and they connect us to what we should be doing, what we should be doing, and doing it with. So I really explore that in my work, as well as, of course, identity and adornment. I focus on adornment because with Black folks, we love a good dress up. We love a good fit. We love good color. We use it in religious practices. And I feel like it's a way to connect to that spiritual side of us. It is a way for us to channel our ancestors. It is a way for us to elevate ourselves. And so adornment for me is connecting to that side of ourselves internally that, that gives us that sense of godliness and elevation. I also am really interested in myth and folklore, but not in the sense of it being fiction. I feel like the stories that have been passed down through African folklore and myth, I feel like in an alternative world, those things happened. There's a folklore about my people could fly. And yes, it's a narrative about how we escaped the Atlantic slave trade, but it's also a metaphor for how we rise above so many things as far as travesties that we deal with. So that's why I really like the notion of exploring myth and folklore as a means of connecting to past history and, of course, identity and adornment. So I also really love and feel connected to objects. I know it's a really weird thing, but I can see an object and I have this urgency, like somebody see a new pair of red bottoms. I'll care less about a pair of red bottoms, but if I see an old vintage mirror sitting somewhere in a corner, I gotta have it. If I see, like this young lady, she's holding this antique book that I picked up, and it's not about the story in the book, it's about the history and story that is connected to the hands that held the book. And I feel like objects are conduits of memory. And I feel like objects also hold symbolism. We are a people in African American people who were literally and legally forbade the ability to learn to read. And so the symbolism of these two young ladies, one with the cotton in her hair, the pearls, which have always stood as a symbol of wealth, of having access, combined with this access to a book, which they both are holding and carrying forth towards this alternative world that they are growing up in. So I have a couple of influences, and as an artist, you're gonna wanna have your influencers, not social media influencers who are trying to get you to buy stuff, but your influencers who they are, whether you know it or not, they are influencing your work. I grew up with Octavia Butler as my friend, not literally, figuratively, because when I was 8 years old, I picked up an Octavia Butler book and I was addicted, and she was my company. As I grew up, her world was my world. Her characters were my people, and so that early exposure to Octavia Butler has never left me. It shows up in Afro surrealism that I'm drawn to, in Afrofuturism that I'm drawn to. And I also am influenced by James Van Der Zee. James Van Der Zee is a Harlem Renaissance photographer who is known for documenting the everyday person, but they always look casual work. They always look like money. They always look elevated. They always look stately. And so I really love James Van Der Zee's work. I try and channel him and give honor to him in the works that I create as well. And then there's something about the Dutch Renaissance painters, their ability to manipulate light and shadow through paint. I'm really drawn to that, and I try to achieve that through my manipulation of light and shadow in photography. I love all things vintage. If you're an artist, you got to keep reading. You got to do your research. It fuels you, it motivates you, it pours in ideas. If you're not reading and researching, you are missing out on your full potential as an artist. Yeah. So let's figure out, hold on, let's go back. I think I clicked too fast. So there are a couple of things that power the plug. It's artists, that's you, and your art tribe. It's exhibitions, it's curators, it's galleries, and we're going to talk about how to access your juice, your power, and how to build out those authentic relationships within your art community. First of all, as I just said, you've got to connect to yourself as an artist first. Why are you doing the work? What is the work exploring? And what are your goals? If your goal is to create for self, you're going to have a different goal than a person who is trying to get in a gallery, who's trying to get with collectors. There are different goals attached to what you're doing. And so you really need to be thoughtful about what you're doing and why you're doing it, and stick to those goals. They can evolve, but make sure you're clear in what you're doing, why you're doing it, and be precise in your ability to explain it. It's just like with your photography clients, people who are trying to book you, you have to be clear with your elevator speech. It doesn't matter the industry or business that you're entering into, you've got to be clear in your ability to express what you're doing. So, how to be connected as an artist. To be connected as an artist, There are a couple of things that are action items. You need to go to exhibitions. Um, there are many exhibitions, doesn't matter what area you're in, and particularly with young artists. I know myself as a young artist, I wasn't going to exhibitions because in my mind, I wasn't buying anything, but it's not about you buying anything. It's about, one, the exposure to the artwork. It's about your exposure to those individuals who are operating in art life, your curators, your other artists who can build out your tribe, your connection and ability to support other artists in the space. They want to see that. We're going to talk about online and your artwork and in galleries in a minute, but I went to this particular show. It's called 400 by Jamal Barber. He did it with a collective of other artists, and it explored 400 years of slavery. This particular piece was a conjunction between Jamal Barber and Grace Kisa, who's my good friend Grace Kisa. And I went not when the show opened on purpose. There's a reason for that. You go when it's slow. You can, one, of course, enjoy the artwork, but you also get to talk to the gatekeepers, i.e. the curator, the person who is running the exhibition space. And because I went when it was quiet, it was slow, got an opportunity to talk to the curator. Her name's Tisha Smith. And she was the curator for the space. And she was already familiar with my work because my online presence was there. I had already followed her. She had already followed me on social media. And so she was aware of my work. She was also aware of my work because in prior exhibitions that she didn't necessarily put on, she was at those events. And then I was also at those events. And so we got familiar with one another in passing. But in this moment, I got to shoot my shot. And holding conversation with her, she loves the work, and she offered us the ability to submit a proposal for a group show. And we will be doing that in the upcoming 2021 year. And so you really do need to get out of your house, get out of just making art in the house or just photographing your subject or your topic, and make those connections beyond your house. Okay. So another way of being connected is through exhibiting your work. To exhibit your work, and I'll go more in depth later, but there's always an artist call happening. This was a particular artist call. Check with your city. Cities are very good for collecting artwork. They'll put out an artist call. They do collect photography. This is a photograph that was purchased by the Fulton County Arts Council. And so having that on your CV, which is basically your arts resume, that looks good that you are being collected by institutions, by municipalities. It shows that they trust that you will have longevity and that they are not going to waste their money on someone that they don't have faith about being a serious artist. So be connected as an artist. Another means for you to be connected is through gallery talks, artist talks, excuse me. So when you are in a show, they often will have artist talks, and the artist talks are wonderful opportunities for you to share your why. What's the story behind the artwork? People aren't just buying your artwork, they are buying your story. They are buying your personality. They're buying your commitment. They don't want to waste their money on something that next week you decided you're going to go play golf and you don't want to do art anymore. They want to make sure that they're buying an investment while also purchasing something that they really enjoy. In this case, I had this posted on social media because I want to make sure anybody who's looking at my work can see, oh, she's doing artist talks. Oh, okay, I see. She's committed to the work. So you have to make sure your online presence matches what you say you're doing. You can't just be making the artwork. There's the business side of art life, same as the photographer side. They're one and the same. You can't just be making, you've got to look at the business aspect of it, or you'll just have a whole bunch of stuff sitting in your house that nobody has collected. You also want to show behind the scenes. You want folks to connect to you as a person. This is one of those photos that I took while I was editing, because my daughter, Ziggy, she came downstairs while I was editing and she got on my lap, went right on off to sleep, and mommy kept editing. So it creates a human side and a face to the commitment that you're putting forth in still creating while balancing your family life and your professional life. If you have individuals who are models that work with you, invite them out to the shows. This young lady is also this young lady. You want to make that connection, because what happens is they become your advocates. They become your speakers in the street who can give you accolades, who can share out for you. You really want to make sure that you are using all venues and avenues to make sure people know what you're doing as an artist. So this is an arts exhibit I went to at Spelman Museum of Art, Spelman College Museum of Art here in Atlanta. And I knew nothing about Zanelle Moholy, nothing. But I loved the work. I fell in love with her work. And I also had the opportunity to meet the director, Andrea Barnwell Lee, of Spelman Museum. So that was a good connection as well. She's very genuine. But then this was about a year later, I was at Art Basel and I got to see even more of her work. So going to exhibitions is also about getting your inspiration, your pour in, and it lets you have something to aspire for if that's one of your goals, to get on that level. Sometimes folks feel like photography doesn't qualify as art. Of course, I disagree. And clearly, the people in Miami at Art Basel, which is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, art fairs you can go to and exhibit at and sell at, because this is a selling place. People are not here just looking. Clearly, they agree as well. So you got to connect to your tribe. Your tribe are those men and women who support you, encourage you, and they know what your dreams and goals are, and they have the same dreams and goals and aspirations, and they can encourage you. What happens with your tribe is cross-pollination. You can't be everywhere. You can't find every artist call. You can't know every curator. You can't know every gallery. Your tribe is there because you get cross-pollination from it, and support, of course. In this case, my tribe here is my twin sister, Sashi, who is a painter as well as a muralist in Atlanta. She's a TCP scholar, TCP award fellow. And then my friend, Grace Kisa, who is an amazing artist. She is a photographer. She is a painter, as well as a textile artist, a sculptor. She's a Renaissance woman, first and foremost. She's amazing. The lady in the middle is Halima Taha. Halima Taha literally wrote the book on collecting Black art. And I had no idea who she was initially. However, Grace Kisa and her dearth of just an incredible amount of wealth of knowledge of folks that she knows introduced Sashi and I to Halima Taha, who was such a wonderful person, very laid back, very down to earth. And so that is another connection that we were able to make because of cross-pollination. And here's my art tribe, my Rose Red Sadipo, Rochelle, who, when I was stuck earlier today and I needed help with figuring out how to do this recording, I called my girl, artist and friend, social media extraordinaire, Rochelle, and she helped me walk myself through it. Grace, my sister, and my wonderful friend, Deja Najee, who is a printmaker and photographer as well. They're going to give you support. They're going to give you feedback. They're going to help you when you're stuck. So you really got to build out your art tribe. It's hard doing it by yourself. You can get overwhelmed, and your art tribe is there to help and support you and give you feedback. The other part of your art tribe is to help you with setting your goals. This is my friend who originally was a client of mine, Delita Martin, but we have developed a wonderful friendship, and she is someone who I aspire to achieve as far as her level of excellence and the places that she is in. I can only dream of getting into the room, but she's amazing. Go look her up, Delita Martin. She pushes me on my goals. She pushes me on planning and research. Great for discussing concepts and topics and ideas. And the best thing about your art tribe, it's a safe place for you to get critique and feedback on the work. And they are going to put you in the room when you're not there in the room. They can bring your name up to others who are in position to put you in place, whether that's a gallery, an exhibition. And so your tribe really is a powerful support medium for you. This is another part of my tribe, Sistography, Sue Ross and June. Hey, June. And it's because I want to pull the name. I can't pull it. It's going to come to me later. It's so sad. It's because I'm on the spot. They're great for going out to art events. Everybody is not going to be available all the time, but they're going to be able to go with you to art events and keep you company. This was a Hugh Magnum book signing, and Gina Collins said, "Hey, I've got tickets. Do you guys want to go?" And absolutely, I love Hugh Magnum. So, connecting to exhibitions. If your goal is not to show your work, it's fine. You don't have to show your work, especially if you don't feel like it's time to show your work, no problem. But if you feel like you've got a body of work that you want to share out to the world, exhibitions are the way to go. Your tribe will help you with exhibitions. This is a particular exhibition that was sponsored by Fulton County Arts and Culture, and it featured the artist of Sistography. And the curator was Michi Miko, who is a very well-known artist in Atlanta as well as internationally. And it was really wonderful to have such an artist select our work to be placed in the gallery space. Your methods for exhibition, artist calls, once again, your art tribe, you can submit for jury shows, community organizations such as Sistography and APG, Atlanta Photography Group. You can also get your work shown through fellowships and residencies, which are where you're applying for residency, and it gives you opportunity and time to create artwork, and usually there's a show that goes along with it in an exhibition. This is just another show that my Sistography friend and I were at. I don't know why I'm posing like that. It's so bizarre. Like, please don't judge me, people. It's such a bizarre pose. Like, what are you doing? Nobody tried to fix me. Nobody ever tries to fix the photographer. Sigh. So when you connect to your exhibitions, there's a couple of things to consider. Sometimes there are awards attached to it. Sometimes it's a competition and you win some, you lose some, but there are costs associated with quite a few of the artist calls. On average, the cost is about $35, but if it's a portfolio where you're submitting about 10 to 15, maybe 20 images, then it can go up to $65 to $100 depending. You really have to say to yourself, is this worth it? Is it worth it for me to submit for this particular exhibition, competition, or show? And the way you figure that out is through who's the curator, who are the eyes that are going to see it, is there any elevation of your work by being featured with these artists that might get in, or by being seen by this particular curator. If you can say yes to those, then yes, the money is worth it. The money is worth the spend if you have it. If it's not a show that's going to elevate your work and take you on that next ladder up, then you just might want to show. But I don't particularly submit for those things because for me, I'm moving slowly and carefully up. I don't necessarily want to move laterally because I'm not where I want to be yet. So time is finite. I can only put so much time into it, and into particular shows, you can't be spread out too thin. And so you have to be mindful of where your pieces are shown. This was a great show to be in. Alan Avery is a gallerist in Atlanta. He's a very well-known gallerist. And to get selected in this show was a great feather in my cap, and I felt really proud about it. But I was even more proud because at the end of the show, and I actually didn't know that they were going to be doing this. I guess I wasn't paying attention. But MoCA GA, which is the Museum of Contemporary Art of Georgia, selected my piece along with David Clifton Straw, who is a photographer in Atlanta as well. They selected our pieces to be added to the permanent collection of the Museum of Contemporary Art of Georgia. And so that I was just truly elated to be in a museum this early in the game. So hopefully I'll keep moving forward. This is another one. Sometimes you can submit for competitions and awards. International Photography Awards, that is another good competition to submit for. It was an honorable mention. I would have been, of course, happier to see silver or gold or whatever. However, I particularly submitted for this show, for this competition, because an artist that I love, her name is Tawny Chapman. She won it the prior year, and I loved her work for years. And for her to win it, I felt like it would be a good move for me. That's another thing that you can do. Follow artists that you love, that you like their trajectory, see where they have submitted, and if it's feasible, submit to those shows, exhibitions, and artist calls as well. There's also the ability to do portfolio reviews, and all a portfolio review is you having a body of work, not couple good, couple bad, a body of work that is consistent on a single topic. You're bringing those to the portfolio review, which is made up of individuals who are curators, critics, individuals who are in the photography world. This is what they do. They want to find the next best photographer and bring them up. And so you take your work and submit it, and they give you feedback on it. And if they like it, perhaps they've got a show available. Not necessarily. I mean, you could, but that's not the reason. You want your work in front of those gatekeeper eyes. And so that's another reason to do your portfolio reviews. The only drawback is they're really expensive. They can go from $400 and up. But there are a few that are juried, and the juried ones are free. And I've got the link for the juried one further down in the slides. So you figured out how to get into an exhibition. You figured out, hey, I know what my artwork is about. I can talk about it. I need to talk to some curators. Those are the real gatekeepers, because those are the ones who are pulling together for museum shows. They are pulling together for gallery shows. Those are your big dogs. And so one of the ways you can connect to your curators is through your tribe, of course. And you can also connect through social media. And the connect through social media is a soft connect. The trick here is to, one, how do you learn about who a curator is? You could surf Instagram and Facebook. That's hitting in the dark. Look at your art publications. particularly your fine art photography, if that's the specific track. But me personally, I don't feel like I need to only exist in a fine art photography track. My work is art, and so it can go in either venue, in my opinion. So I look for individuals who are in both. I might look for a photography curator, and I might also look for a curator who has an aesthetic that I feel like fits with mine, and try and reach out just by following them and by commenting on their post. If they comment back, then the algorithm in Instagram and Facebook makes your comments and your posts show up on their post or feed, and vice versa. So it's a soft connect, but it allows you to connect with one another at a distance without worrying about geography or time. And then if you do have the opportunity to meet in person, you've already made that connection. In this case, I had an opportunity to meet with TK because he was putting together a really, really great talk. He's a Tina Dunklin Curatorial Fellow at Clark Atlanta University. And he was doing a talk at Woodruff Art Center here in the Atlanta University Center. And I went to the talk and we exchanged cards. So there's that second connect. I was already following him on Instagram. There was a second connect. I invited him to come and speak with my students at the high school. We were going to do that. And I left it off at that, but then we met again at another gallery opening. Once again, that's a third connect. That's 3 touches. Third connect, and once again, shoot my shot. So we were talking about the artwork, and I said, hey, TK, I'll be a little forward. Would you mind doing a studio visit? I would love some feedback on the work and just some fresh eyes. And he was very amenable to that. COVID happened. But it's not all bad because we wound up doing it virtually. Virtual is saving everybody's day. And it was really a wonderful conversation. And it was great to get a different perspective on what I thought I was making. He didn't see that. But it was great because it gave me a new way of looking at the work. And by being virtual, it was recorded. I can go back and listen to the feedback that he gave and into the commentary. And so virtual and COVID's terrible, but I try and look for silver linings in everything. So that's my silver lining. Having the ability to do virtual art studio show, virtual studio visits. This is another curator here, Courtney Brooks. She's a wonderful curator, very accessible, but I met her because of going to exhibitions. Got to get out your house, folks. Same thing here. This is Danny Dunson. Danny is a curator as well as I want to say he's a MacArthur Fellow. He's very eloquent, loves his words, great speaker. And I, once again, followed Danny on social media because he has an IG handle, Legacy Brothers, and he posts all these beautiful, beautiful works of art. And he does also My Grandfather's Closet, where he's posting vintage photographs. And so that was the main reason why I started connecting with him, because I liked what he was posting, but that back and forth. So when we do meet at Art Basel at Prism Art Gallery, the Prism Museum, at the Prism Museum, it's not a cold handshake. It is a warm hug, a warm touch, and a warm conversation, because we have already broken that barrier of, hey, how are you? Who are you? That kind of thing. So I've added a couple of galleries that, these are really like if I had my druthers, this is where I would be. And I'm putting it out there in the universe because what's for me is for me, and it comes to me. So if it's for me, it will come towards me. Gallery Martise is a gallery that represents not only photographers, but also painters. Same Maria Ibrahim Gallery, Claire Oliver, Jackson Fine Art, and Arnika Dawkins. Arnika Dawkins is here in Atlanta, and she only represents photographers. She's very accessible, wonderful person. But if you're trying to connect to a gallery, you got to ask yourself a couple things before you get started. Here's the things. Are you a good fit? You cannot say you do portrait photography and the gallery you're inquiring with only represents abstract, conceptual installation artists. That is not a good fit. You also have to ask yourself, are you ready? Like, do you have a body of work? Are you clear in all the other stuff that we just went through? Have you done the real work of preparing to reach out, to connect to a gallery? You also have to make sure, is the quality of the work there? You can't print your photographs on some luster paper that you got from the dollar store. That is not quality. It will not last. So you have to make sure that if you're taking your stuff to a gallery and you're having them examine it to see should they represent you, that the quality of the work and the materials matches up to demand the price point that they're going to be asking for your work. We just talked about having a body of work, and then you need to figure out, hey, how are they even seeing artists? Some artists, some gallerists, they don't take walk-ins. They will only look at your work via email. Some don't take email either. They want to find the artists that they deal with. And so you have to do your research and find out, usually it's on their website, how they are okay with people reaching out to them. It's really good to have that soft connection first though, instead of a cold reach out. If it's email, you're gonna wanna make sure that you do an intro, who you are, what you do, and how you feel, in words, how you feel like you fit into their gallery space, and with the artists that they represent. You're also gonna attach 3 to 5 images of your work, not the whole portfolio, that's too much. That's gonna overwhelm them. If it's 3 to 5 and they like it, you're golden. Because then they will go click the link that you include for your website, your portfolio, and your contact info. Speaking of that, I'm gonna come out of here just for a second. No, I'll wait to the end. I'll wait to the end. I'm gonna show you what, you've gotta have an artist bio on your, if you're sending them to a website. What they wanna see is your artist bio, they're gonna wanna see your CV, and they're gonna wanna see more examples of your work. And so when I get to the end, I'll go to that and you can have a look and see what that really looks like. Oh, and an artist statement. So this is Arnika, and let me scoot this out the way. I'll put it down here. This is Arnika Dawkins, and these are her assistants. The names are slipping me right now, but I do know their names. And of course, this is my tribe. So at Basel, like I said, it's too many galleries to name. They're all down there. They're selling their artists' work, and you shouldn't go down there with your artwork trying to get in front of them and get shown. But what you can go down there with, or to any art fair, is your business cards, your personality, and be willing to put in the work of waiting for it to be a slow time. If they look amenable to you walking over to them, hopefully you've already done your soft touch where you've been following them on social media. You see the kind of artwork that they represent, and in the back of your mind, it is a good fit. And you've also done the work of creating a CV, which is your resume that has exhibitions on it, that has gallery showings on it. They want to see, are you doing the work? If you can get fellowships, get fellowships. A gallery is going to want to see, have you been doing the work before we take you on to do the work with you? Like I said, Arnika Dawkins, she's here in Atlanta, but I drove to Nashville specifically to hear her artist, to hear her talk at Imaging, and to meet and talk with her in person. For me, it was worth it. She is a gallerist who I admire, and I think my work is a good fit with her gallery space. I've done my research. and you don't want to go to their galleries when they're busy, when they're trying to sell artwork. So at a place like Imaging USA or a conference, they're not focusing on selling artwork. They're there to speak, and their guard is a little more down. They're more casual, and so that was an additional touch that I got to make with Arnika. And I waited a few weeks, and then I did what I just told you to do. I sent my intro, my images, and my link to my portfolio, CV, and artist statement. And Arnika, she did respond back, and we're going to be meeting up after COVID. We were supposed to meet up earlier, but COVID has happened. And so we will be connecting and holding conversation about the artwork, and hopefully things go well and I can have something else to be happy about. So, supportive photography arts organizations. I've just talked to you guys about Sistography. They're awesome. It is a group of African-American women photographers based in Atlanta, but they are not only, it's not just for Atlanta artists. They have Sistography members all over the United States. Sheila Pre-Bright is a very well-known documentary photographer, and she is a member of Sistography. And then there's also, let me scoot this over, the Atlanta Photography Group. They are another very supportive organization, lots of opportunities for exhibition with both of these individual organizations. And exhibitions, if that is your goal, these two organizations, if you're in Atlanta or in the metro area, can definitely support you in that. But even if you're not here, look in your area. They're going to have organizations that will suit your needs. You just gotta do your research. Resources. So resources for artist calls, call for entry. Lynn Scratch has a plethora of resources on their website. Art Papers is really good to read up about what's going on in the art world. Definitely recommend reading up on Art Papers. Publicart.org. You'll get a lot of call for entry, call for submissions for public art. Your city, municipalities, they do buy art. And you're gonna wanna be on publicarts.org for you to see those submissions. And Burnaway. Burnaway is another good resource for you to find out what's going on, what calls are happening, what residencies are available and taking submissions. Your Santa Fe portfolio review, it's a juried portfolio review, which means they're not going to let everybody in. You submit your work, and if they feel like it is to the level that they want to see that will fit the group that they're compiling together, then you'll be invited in and have, like I said, the gatekeepers looking at your work. So portfolio reviews are another great resource. By all means, Santa Fe is a good one because I think it's free or the cost is nominal. So thank you for having me, Tamaya. Thank you. And thank you, community. I'm gonna pop out of this for a second and I'll pop back in just so that I can show you guys what an artist statement looks like and what a CV looks like. Because if you're going on that road to trying to get your work out there, that's paperwork that you're gonna need. Most times they're gonna ask for your CV, they're gonna ask for your bio, which most artists are, you know, photographers, we're gonna have our bio, but you're gonna wanna tailor it toward your art life. I'm gonna come out of here for a second and let me scoot over to, I need a new tab, give me a sec. So I'm a portrait artist as well. So I get clients that come to me because they want fine art portraits done for their family members. So I have both on my page though. So connect with me as Meet the Artist. And that is you know, just, hey, how you doing? But your artist statement, if you've got collectors and they're going to your website, they're going to want to see your artist statement. They're going to want it, what's your bio, what have you been doing? Also, if people are writing about you, they go to your website and they not steal, but instead of asking you for it, they'll go to your website and just pull the bio and artist statement from your website. So it's really good to have it there if you really are trying to step it up in your art life game. Current CV. Your CV is simply, what have you done as an artist? They're looking for your exhibitions. Usually these are going to go in chronological order. They're looking for your awards and fellowships. So that's your next category. And they're looking to see if there are any notable. If there's no notable ones, and it's okay. You don't necessarily have to have that on there. But they're looking to see if there are specific notable collections or commissions that you were asked to participate in. And then lastly, any publications and press that you may have, you're going to include that here as well. So I'm going to pop back over. I'll just peek over it. That's art papers. Review Santa Fe. Cystography. Cystography's got a $35 membership fee, which goes down if you're an older person or if you've got more years on you. And I believe, yes, APG has the same. It's a $35 submission, $35 membership fee, but you get a lot for the membership. Like right now, APG has all of these workshops and to fine art photography, and it's free for members. And I want to say it's $10 for non-members. So they're always striving to push our work out there and support us as best they can, which is really an awesome thing. I'm gonna scoot back over here and go back into present mode. Now, thank you for having me, Tamaya, and community, and I hope you really, really enjoyed my cookout talk. Hopefully you've learned something that you didn't know before, and you can use it to build out your tribe, to build out yourself as an artist, to get connected into exhibitions, and to get connected into your curators. If you have any questions, feel free to tag me in the group, or you can follow me on IG, Facebook at Toki T Studio. And there's my Gmail and website as well if you need to go back and look and see what the CV and bio and artist statement looks like. All right, signing off.